Hello, 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 beautiful people of the world. Welcome to the Happy Conversation Ideas Show. Here you can learn and flourish from the thoughts, ideas, and the story of the happiest people. From Gucci, Fendi, Chanel, Dior, to Tom Ford, to Louis Vuitton, and many more. We're going to talk about all about fashion today. Today, we're going to talk about the rich, famous, fabulous from the fashion Bible because elegance doesn't need consistency in putting on a new dresser's designer. All as we know that simplicity is the keynote of all true elegance, but the good news is that you can be gorgeous and handsome at 30s, stunning at 40s, and irresistible for the rest of your life. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce today one of the famous fashion innovator of the fashion industry, Liza D. Liza is the founder and dean of the Cut Fashion Design Academy. Liza's distinguished international career is in the fashion industry, has spanned over 30 years. Wow. She is renowned as an innovator, creator, entrepreneur, preeminent fashion consultant, and a business coach. Her clients have been featured in WWD, Instyle, Glamour, and Harper's Bazaar, and many more. She has coached winners on Project Runway. In 1989, in Vancouver, Liza founded Arteenelle Designs Inc. and the Noccoma Manufacturing that made clothes for the labels such as London Fog, Umbro, and Marmot, and many more. Liza later moved to New York City and created a manufacturing firm that sold to major national retailers. After 12 years in New York City, Liza returned back to our Vancouver and founded the Cut Fashion Design Academy. As an educator and dean, please welcome my dear Liza to the Happy Conversation Idea Show.
Hello.
How are you today, Liza?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I am healthy and happy. Thanks for asking. I'm so delighted and excited to know about you and your story. I know all about, but many of our worldwide audience, they are very excited to know about that, your journey. So without getting delay, I would like to know that your work ethic is so legendary. Please tell us about who inspired you and when did you become passionate about the fashion industry?
That's such an interesting question because when I was young, I loved what it was that I loved was manufacturing, which is a really odd thing to say, but I enjoyed knitting. I enjoyed baking. I enjoyed, like, I'm talking 10 years old. And when I knit something like a pot holder or a little purse or whatever it was, I wound up knitting 50 of them. The same
Wow.
thing. So I had to, so this manufacturing gene was kind of, in me at a young age. So, and you're a girl, it's the 80s, you love fashion, I love magazines, I loved the idea of seeing something and being able to make it. So, and I wasn't very good at it, at the sewing, so it was challenging, which I think drew me more to it because I wanted to get good at it. So, and then my mom was a great knitter, a great sewer. She was great at everything.
Okay.
But as I got older, in my teens, I would have to say, and it still is to this day, Karl Lagerfeld is, I think, the most
Amazing. Carl is an amazing, amazing personality. Unfortunately, he has worked for over, I believe, 50 years, 5 decades with Fendi and Chanel for 30 something. Legend.
And you know what? I saw him once when I was living in New York, and truly, like, the ocean parted, and he came out. Like, he has that aura and that energy that you just stop because something incredible is going to come out the door. He has that before he even enters the room. It's you're born with that, and I think that's 1 in a million that is born.
Excellent. So I'm so glad to know at least you have met him in person. It was my dream, wish and dream too, but unfortunately he's no more on the wall. So
I don't know if I can say I met him. I did see him. I saw him. We were okay. It was a small street, small hotel, and he was coming out of it. It was just like
amazing. Carl is amazing. Yeah. So this is a great personality. So tell us about, you've been to describe the Vancouver fashion industry compared to New York and the other mother capital city of the world.
Well, Vancouver's beautiful. I mean, you can't.
Indeed.
I'm born and raised in Vancouver, and the fashion industry I'm 53. So from when I was 10 to what it is today is night and day. The difference is that in Vancouver, it's very much athleisure. There's, outerwear. We're the Pacific Northwest. So the design talent that really is drawn here is very much outerwear, activewear.
Yes.
And there's some incredible engineers, designers, pattern drafters. There's some incredible people that do amazing things with that stuff.
True.
And then you do have some great bridal designers, actually, that come out of Vancouver, which is like, the couture end of it, the one-of-a-kind dresses. There's some, phenomenal talent that is there in designers. There's obviously also Aritzia, which is day wear, which was making its mark long before any of the others. With New York, what's different is, you're the center of the world. It's New York City. So,
True.
Especially in the garment district, when you're a nobody student getting your stuff made, you're running around in the same places that Cynthia Rowley's assistant is going, or, Ulla Thompson, or, any of the larger big designer names are running around. Carolina Herrera, you see having lunch at the same place you're having lunch. So it's very, you're sort of, you're in the thick of it. And I don't know if there is any other city in the world for any other industry that is that way, aside from probably tech in Silicon Valley.
Yep. That's great. So that's a vast difference we can see. But still, as you mentioned, Vancouver is beautiful. Most pretty. I think the whole planet Mother Earth is beautiful, but there is a little more gorgeous thing in the Vancouver, and I love it so far.
It is gorgeous.
It is a postcard picture. Every corner is a postcard picture. You can take it and then you can post it. Incredible. Now, you had empowered so many young adults into becoming a fashion designer. Where and how do you do this teaching? And please tell us about that, please.
Well, so when I moved to New York, when I had my factories here in Vancouver, I started in the early 90s, actually. My first factory, Arteenelle, was 1990. And I was young, I was 20. So I grew that to a large factory and sold it. And then I took a year off and opened a second factory in Noccoma. And by the time I'd opened the second factory, the industry had changed a bit. So the Pacific Rim deal had gone through. So that's being NAFTA and no quotas with the Pacific Rim. So a lot of the US brands were coming into Canada, going into Mexico to get things manufactured. And the whole process of manufacturing became much easier. People had access. So I found myself explaining a lot to my customers in a way where they really understood it. In a way where they really understood it so well that they not only used me, but I taught them how to go find other people, which was, not a good business model for me. So when I sold the second factory and moved to New York, I actually moved to New York to get into film producing, which I did produce a film with Daryl Hannah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I produced two, actually. But I started consulting on the side to make money. Another merchandising consultant met me, and this was in 2003. She said, no one really understands manufacturing. You have a very simple way of guiding people. You should go speak at a fabric convention that's coming up. So I did. I ended up getting like 5 clients from that 1-hour lecture I gave.
Yes.
And my consulting business grew. Jay McCarroll, who was the winner of Project Runway first season, hired me, and he actually said, you should be teaching this, because everywhere I've gone, I've never understood the manufacturing process to the point where, in a month I can do it myself now. So I started putting together 2-day how to start your own business, fashion business or lifestyle workshops. And I produced them in New York and Los Angeles, and we did New Orleans. I did one in Vancouver, and they did really, really well. And a lot of students used me for consulting for a few months afterwards, but they started having great success if they, followed the steps and listened to what I was saying. I mean, many clients didn't have success, but they, it's not as easy as make something and people will come. You know, you have to push it and sell it. So,
True.
you know, one of my clients was Rochelle Barron's The Shirt, and she got on Oprah Winfrey's Favorite Things, and all of Bloomingdale's across the country picked her up. And I mean, she's a multi-million-dollar business now, all from an idea. So I realized in the 12 years that I was in New York when I was consulting that my way of consulting is very much teaching. And then when I moved back to Vancouver, I realized that, you know, what was graduating, they're great. They put their heart into it. They've committed 2 to 4 years, money, the whole thing. But they're not graduating with, like, they don't come to a job and with the mentality of, let me add value, because I don't know if they feel that they did have value to add. And I don't know how much value they had to add. You know, they were looking to learn. And that's a different psychology. You know, I'm a Generation Xer, and we were eager to learn, but we were eager to add value. So I thought, you know, there's a niche here and a void that this education system is kind of not addressing, which is really empowering these students with the knowledge they've signed up to learn versus just ticking off a syllabus. And in a vocational setting, in a vocational, for a vocational school, my philosophy is you can't teach vocational skills or skills, you know, pattern making, sewing with 15, 20 students in it. You know, at max, you cap out at 8, where a teacher can be useful and a student can learn. So, you know, one of the pillars is we're a 1-on-8. So if we have 9 students, there's a TA in the class helping during the time there's presentations. If, you know, fantastic. Ideally there's 12, so that, you know,
it's just 9.
But it's just, my point is that every 8 students has a leader that that's attending to them.
Fantastic. So this is great. Like it's individually, so that student get the most of the pure attention towards the detailing is not being ignored and all. So that's wonderful. So please tell us, like, how do you keep motivated to keep producing elite designing ideas?
Well, so what for me, I don't know if I understand the question right.
I mean, you teaching all this young adults and all, but at the same time, you must be not repeating over and over the same concept. You must be giving them great and creative and which different sort of ideas and all, right? Designing ideas and cuts and all. So every time, do you use the same method of teaching of cutting, or it's always brand new ideas?
Well, the beauty of the school is we have 10 fantastic instructors, all highly talented in what they teach. So for example, I don't teach pattern making and sewing. We have an amazing instructor that gets truly incredible work out of the students. Like, she's been with us 2 terms now, and the students are the best 2 terms I've seen. So the students are great, but it says a lot about the instructor. My job is I do see all the students. I look at their work. I'm in the school every day for at least an hour, and I see what they're doing. Not just their talent, though. I see their attitude and their management skills. I'm also there every weekend. So now how that matters is students come in to do their lab hours.
Yes.
So I have my time with them on those Saturdays, because your personality or your attitude matters. I shouldn't say personality, but your attitude matters. And a little bit of your personality does too, you know, like if you can't do something, do you throw it away or do you try again? Do you ask the questions and do you do what you do? Because these are the things now that matter to me, because when they graduate, I help them find a job. And with certain skill sets and certain personalities, I know where they would fit and be really happy for X amount of years. So what keeps me motivated is, I've reinvented myself. I've grown with myself. I'm not doing the same thing. We have a factory as well. So there's the Design Academy, and then we have a factory, which I oversee and manage, but been there, done that. I've been doing that 30 years and it's all great. We do great stuff. We make locally, but the students there's a freshness. I have a restless mind in the sense that I really like to
Yes.
innovate and do new things and see new things and be able to apply the skill set I think I have, which is seeing where someone's really good and you need to do this to be great. So let's get you there.
Fantastic. Now, no, this is greatly said. I really like the way you motivate yourself and you overseas and to the graduate and students so that they're doing the best. And you also help them to get the place where they think their personality matches about. We're going to talk about this definitely in my coming question. But now, do you think that you've been in this industry for over 3 decades? And do you think that do celebrity have impacted the fashion industry or the fashion industry has impacted the celebrity's lifestyle?
Well, celebrities have always been impacting the industry and the industry's always been impacting the celebrities. I think what's changed is the amount of information that is coming at us. You know, I remember being 10 watching the Oscars and Cher wearing Bill Blass. She loved Bill Blass, and
yeah,
back then you didn't have 30 magazines. You know, there was Vogue, there was Cosmopolitan, really. Like Bazaar was sort of there, but kind of sort of. Elle only came around, I think it's only been 25 years, 25, 30 years. So I'm not sure actually, I might be wrong on that, but the point is the main magazines were Vogue and I think Bazaar.
Yeah.
Also for celebrity, you had 2 magazines, you know, Teen Beat, Tiger Beat, 3, and People.
Yeah.
And now you have 30.
So true.
Bullshit celebrity magazines. Who was wearing what? Who looked awful? Who looked great? Who, you know, you've got 1,000 channels, and you've got every, you know, D-list celebrity commenting on A-list celebrities of what they're wearing. So I think that artists have always appreciated artists, which is what actors and musicians did with designers, and designers appreciated the talent and art in actors. I think now there's so many platforms where you're seeing that's what's impacted.
No, very well said that, you know, that's a great differentiate between you have done from over 3 decades what you've seen. So in early time, very few selection of social media or like information was out there. Now we are bombarded with that. Also,
I think that's actually a bigger thing in that I think influencers and social media have impacted how endorsements work with celebrities.
Yes, you're right.
Versus celebrity and fashion.
Fantastic. Now, we talked about this. Do you think is semi-nudity or nudity getting fashionable these days?
Give me an example.
Well, as you saying, the clothing option is getting very globally recognized that people are coming up with the bold statement in public where the cuts and all that, where you will see that there is something to hide about it. So the clothing line has been taken so forward in the industry that I think semi-nudity is very common, or maybe in a forest.
It always was. If you look at the runway shows back, it always was. I think that it always was. It's I think the cuts are changing. The nudity's always been there, and it's more an expression versus a in your face kind of a thing. It's an expression of art, and it's the line that works with the body. However, I think when designers are using it as a splash, you can also see it, you know? So the body is the muse for designers. And I think that no different than a musician, you know, some singers can scream and it's music. I was actually watching Alanis Morissette, and it's like it's amazing. And then some musicians just scream, and they're screaming because they can't sing. I feel it's the same thing with designers. There's designers that really cut away that, and it's that beautiful, you're seeing the body, and it's the whole thing is working as an art piece. And then there's some designers that just do it for the shock value, for whatever. And that, for me, that doesn't work because they haven't they haven't run the distance.
Distance, yeah, fantastically, very great, very smart answer. You said that. Do you think that today women and men are competing to buy more fashionable labels to impress each other?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, why it is so hard? Now we're coming back to.
I think today men have more options than they did yesterday, which is great. Fashion-wise.
Okay, that's good. I agree on that too. So it's not only limiting to just go to the higher label brand or just reasonable even to H&M to the Gucci. We have all the options. Great. Why it is so? Now I'm coming back to the question in the beginning. You just talked about the pleasing personality and the job thing. But what I've seen is why it is so hard for unfashionable or people to get job in this industry these days. When you're not unfashionable or not stylish, they judge you towards your etiquettes probably before even somebody opens their mouth, and they judge people with their attire. And it's getting harder these days to get into the career section area. What light do you want to shed on that, please?
I think that's just a bad rumor, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you specifically, what do you mean, and in what area of fashion are you talking about?
No, in fact, today on the radio there was a conversation was going on that people who are not pleasant or not stylish, they were not hired. They were not given more chances to be in the door. So what do you think about that?
So I think that is a valid comment. I've had staff who have a unique and alternative way of dressing. However, and we're a studio and we're a school and we don't have a dress code. However, I have an expectation that you look presentable. And
yes,
especially when you're teaching, you look
yes,
like you have put care in your presentation.
So true.
And I've had a couple of staff who have come to work and they look like they've just, had a bucket of water thrown over them, and they seem to think they're fun. And they were good at their job, and I had to sit down with them and say, this is not, you're a representative of our school when you're teaching, and,
yes,
you've got to put some attention to your hygiene, how you're putting yourself together. I'm not saying go out and get new clothes, but put yourself together.
So true. Agree. Now we talked about that.
Now let me. I'm not.
Yes,
finished.
please go ahead.
So depending upon, I'm a very open. Like, I give everybody a chance. Now, if you are going in for a communications position like PR, event planning, magazine job, you have to care about what you look like, or you're not going to get hired, because that is part of the job.
It's true.
So you went to a dentist that had all yellow teeth and was missing everything here, there, and it was all, would you feel comfortable if he's like, got a drill coming at you?
So true. So true.
And it's very different than, hairdressers always have the worst hair because they don't have time to get to their hair. I'm not, I don't have Max Mara and Chanel wardrobe. I don't look, sometimes yesterday I was in my exercise clothes, going to the school. But you have to put yourself together. When I'm teaching, I'm not like that. When I'm in front of people, I am not like that. So I personally feel that how you put yourself together, for me, it says a lot about where somebody's at in their head, meaning how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the job. Is it just a job? They're putting in the time to get their check. And as an employer, I have a right to choose what I want to represent my brand, because I'm spending hundreds of thousands marketing it.
So true.
And I've always said, when I see someone that might need a little bit of help, just when they're teaching, like, if you're doing whatever and you're just working in the thing, hygiene's it's a requirement. It's not an ask, as far as I'm concerned. If you want this, here's my expectations.
So true.
So if you say yes, you've got to match those expectations. You can say no.
Yes.
But then I only have this to offer you.
Now that's good.
I've never gone somewhere and seen people not hire. But what I think people forget, or I don't know if it's a political correctness thing, or everything's gone so far to one way. I didn't get the job because I look like this. Maybe you didn't, because you do need to actually look like you give a shit. That could actually be. And that's not on them.
Mm-hmm.
And if that bothers you, that might not be where you want to work. There is choice.
It's a choice. I agree.
And I think everybody is so wrapped up in everybody has to do everything that, a private company has every right to hire who they want to hire.
So true. I agree. Well, pleasing personality does matter at the same time. As you mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter. You need to have a wardrobe from Chanel or a Gucci or Armani.
I just had one of my staff is taking another job. She's been with me 2 years, and she's one of the ones that I've had to sit down and sort of mentor clothing wise and several wise. And she's good at her job. She's not great. She's good. But I tell you why I'm sad she's leaving. She's a really nice person. She's nice, and her personality is nice, and she's nice to the students. And I'm bummed she's leaving because of that. And being nice and personality matters.
So true. I agree. Well, thanks for sharing this insight. It's very helpful for people who are listening, and I think they get some valid point. And that is just nothing personally when you're representing your own brand and your certain standards. Definitely. And it's a common sense to be always at least sharp. I mean, it's a common sense for the hygiene thing, what you just said too. Now we talked about especially for women. So how do you think that, how do a woman should dress impeccably so others can remember her?
You have to know your style. And that's not something you read. My mom passed away now almost 24 years ago. And so many of my friends have always said, your mom always was so well dressed and well put together and always looked so feminine and beautiful. So, and she was a very elegant woman, but it wasn't like she was designer clothing. She actually wore a lot of the stuff I made for her, but that was because she loved me, not versus she loved the stuff. She did it because I was her daughter. But she was a very, she had a lot of self-respect. So when she went out, she put herself together. And whatever that means to you is exactly how you should dress. Excellent. But I think we all know, when we're not put together.
Agree, strongly agree. Yeah. There is always something that you think is still incomplete. You would have done your best to that. I think we should dress for occasion. Even I go from a grocery, I have my certain dressing style. I go from a movie or meeting or casual meeting or lunch meeting. I go to the places where I'm invited. The first thing I'll say, what kind of setting is that? Who's coming? Who's not? And I don't want to overdress or underdress for that. I think it's a great idea to have an occasion. We can always dress for the occasion at the time. I mean, yeah.
I saw this on TV recently, or it was on some show, or I can't remember if I read it anyway, but somebody said, I guess somebody was going to do something that, didn't have a lot of integrity in what they were doing. And the person they were speaking to said, how would you feel if what you were doing was plastered all over the front pages of the news tomorrow? Would you be okay with what you're doing? And it made him think twice. So I suppose my comment would be, when you're going somewhere, how would you feel if photographs of you with how you're dressed and look are plastered all over the front page tomorrow? Would you be happy with how you put yourself together?
yeah, I strongly agree that. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, well, that's why there's a lot of grooming etiquettes. Most of the school, college, universities, they fail to tell them the pleasing personality etiquettes and all. That's why the fashion industry, specifically like your academy, has been helping all the young adults, not only for designing, but also grooming part as well. Okay, so you've been traveling around the world and you have all global clients and all, Liza. Please tell us about one thing that you have learned during the COVID regarding the fashion industry that you did not knew before.
Due to COVID?
Yes, please.
I realized the power of manufacturing. They always said during war or the worst of times, manufacturing goes through the roof. And we were very lucky. We had the manufacturing arm. My factory was the busiest year we had had in 5 years during COVID. So being able to make something and being able to pivot is a very highly regarded skill, and it's a survival skill with where the world is at and moving forward as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for all this lovely and brief answer. I think this is great. Let's do this second round we call Make the World Happy Round. So your short and sweet answers are good. So it's kind of rapid fire round. Liza, your wonderful answer will be highly appreciated. Okay, so what does success means to you?
Freedom.
I love it. What freedom means to you?
Freedom means, that's a good one. What does freedom mean? Dancing on a cloud.
I love that. So sky's unlimited. Lovely. Okay, what happiness means to you?
Lots of laughter, a little bit of tears.
So emotionally, but very well said that. Okay, I know you are a Vogue lover, but which designer brand describes you, if any?
The next underground brand that has yet to pop.
I hope the designers are listening right now. Okay, if you could trade a position with any other designer or a mentor, then who it would be? And why?
If I could trade a position with any designer or mentor, who would it be? I got to go back to Karl Lagerfeld.
Oh my God, I knew it. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to hear from you. What a legendary answer. Well, fantastic. Anyone would be. Okay, so what is the reality of the Vogue industry, which many people don't know?
What is the reality of which?
Vogue fashion industry.
What do you mean? What is the reality of that industry?
Yes.
In what respect? Like in the magazine, designers, in what respect?
Yes. So being into the fashion industry, apart from the fashion industry, they don't know much about fashion industry. What is the one thing that fashion industry usually hide or don't tell, or it's unrevealed?
Yeah, well, I got to be honest. I don't know if there's much hidden anymore in anything. But
okay.
Fashion, no different than any other industry. It's a hard industry. You can get any entry-level job. Like when they say it's hard to get into fashion, it's really not hard to get into fashion. That I think is just a really bad rumor.
So true.
It's hard to get into the exact job you want when you're fresh and young. You might not get that position that you think you're super great for. You have to do your time and do the steps and go.
I agree.
So wherever that be, on the design side, on the communication side, on the store building side, on the brand strategy side, wherever it is, you have to start at a certain place. I think that the higher up you want to get, the harder it gets, because you are being vetted out or vetted in as how that brand wants to be represented. Because the higher you go, these people are representing any brand, Vogue, whoever it is.
Yes.
So if you don't fall in line to that brand, you're going to be out. And that's just the law of nature. That's not a, what do you call it? Like a cutthroat industry. That's just nature. Nature.
That's good. That's great. Now tell us, does elegance consist in putting on a new dress? Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Okay. Is fashionable an expensive habit or an addiction?
Is fashionable?
Is being fashionable is an expensive habit or an addiction? Or anything else according to your opinion?
I think that being fashionable can be an addiction.
Okay.
But if you go down, it can be, something that is of interest to you, that's like a hobby, and then it can turn into an addiction. Like you see people that are in sweatsuits day in and day out, that are like piecing stuff together. Fashion is not an interest to them. And then you see people that are really well put together, And they know who the designer is. They know who the creative director is. I think when you're really into fashion, the one thing that people don't understand is the creative directors of all these brands are artists. So, I've got friends that are art collectors, global art collectors, that know more about every creative director in every one of these large brands than I do, because of the majesty that goes into each collection they do. Like Tom Ford is kind of a bit of a genius.
Yes, great. So do you think yoga pants are also in fashion?
On the West Coast, they sure are.
They sure are. I know.
I don't think you'd see anybody wearing them.
I've seen
in Paris the way they do here.
Well, we have a freedom and liberty to wear anything, but yeah. Okay, how do you describe a woman in 2 words?
Strong and beautiful.
Love it. Fantastic. Strong and beautiful. Lovely ladies out there.
Lovely.
Okay, how do you describe a man in 2 words?
Strong and beautiful.
Wow. Be strong and beautiful. Love it. Okay, now we talked about what is the best label in the world for you?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
It depends. The best label for me right now, honesty matters, because a lot of people are talking about transparency and sustainability, and they're all greenwashing, in my opinion.
Okay.
But if you look at The Body Shop, which is a Canadian brand, she's sold now, but she started back in the 70s being transparent and no animal testing. She was very ahead of her time.
Fantastic.
And she built a multi-billion, $1 million business and stayed true to her mission, and others followed. So for me, The Body Shop really stands out as a brand that
best for you in the world, yeah.
And made it
Fantastic.
and made a change, and actually made a change in a place that needed a change.
No, definitely. I strongly agree with that. Sustainable, eco-friendly, and this is where we should be heading more on that. And there are a lot of other wonderful designers too in the world. They're also thinking about that. Okay, what is not out of the fashion?
What is not out of fashion?
Yeah.
What is not out of fashion? Being nice and red lips.
Ah, woohoo! Okay, how do you describe fashion in 1 word?
Self-expression.
Sorry?
Self-expression.
Self-expression. I strongly agree on that. I strongly believe in that too. Okay, what drives you crazy?
The same mistake over and over and over again. That drives me crazy.
So the mistake of yours or other people's around
Other
you?
people's. Other
Okay.
people's. And mine, and mine too.
Okay, all right.
I'm harder on me than anybody, but the same simple mistake over and over and over drives me crazy.
I like that honest answer. These are wonderful. Okay, do you listen to your inner voice or inspiration?
Inner voice.
Why?
Because my inner voice and my inspiration are best friends. So they talk to each other, but who I consult with in the end is my gut, my inner voice.
Woohoo! I love that. Okay, do you allow yourself to be bored?
Yes.
Why?
It's where I love daydreaming. For me, that's meditating. So bored, I guess the way I'm looking at bored is just, when you come home and lie on the couch and don't feel like reading a book, or just daydream.
Fantastic.
But bored can be
Yes.
bored where you're walking around doing what you're doing and you're bored. That's a very different bored.
I know. Well, I consider as more often every day, probably I'll take a time to get bored, to just because that's the time my mind is relaxed and is not constantly bombarded with so many million things. So I just want to relax and connect with my inner self. So a lot of people may understand word bored in a different way, but I think getting bored once in a while is a really good idea to relax your mind so that it can come with a brand new and fresh ideas for in the line of a field.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe you can make a bad idea into a good idea?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I love that. What is the worst thing in the fashion industry you don't like?
The spin on the sustainability front.
Okay.
That hypocrisy really bothers me.
Okay. Lovely. Okay. Coco Chanel once said, "You can't buy style." Do you agree?
100%.
I love it. Okay. What is the role of couture these days?
Oh, it's well, the role of couture, I think, is actually going to get even, it's going to see a heyday. But the role of couture is really, it's aspirational. So when you see those amazing pieces on the runways, everybody, that's what you're aspiring to, especially as a young designer, and aspiring to design for your muse in that way. However, couture is really, what couture is bespoke. So garments that are custom made for a person. And, it's luxury, it's one of a kind, it's, costs can be anywhere from 50,000 to 200, 300,000 for a dress.
So true.
So, or more. So I feel fashion is very interconnected with geopolitics. So it has as much to do with as much as oil is geopolitics, fashion is geopolitics. And if you take a look at the world, the divide between the haves and the have-nots has gotten a little bigger. And in the haves, the divide between, there's a separation now of the uber crazy rich, like they can buy a country with their money, to the super rich. So now the super rich are the have-nots in that category. So I think that couture is going to make a real resurgence. And I think that those types of places where those gowns used to, 30 years ago when I worked at a studio in Toronto, the women would commission us to make $20,000, $40,000 dresses. I was an intern. And that was a lot of money back then. So today that would be $150,000 dress. But I think those days are coming back where there's going to be a small group that is, socializing with one another because, so I don't think couture is going anywhere. My point is couture is not going anywhere. And its role,
fantastic.
And its role is to aspire, but it's also to, it's no different than the role of a Patek Philippe or a Rolex. It's also to
agree.
Let people know when they have it on that they are in a certain category, at the end of the day.
So true. Okay. Now, do we need to be ready to wear the ready to wear?
Yes, you need to be ready to wear ready to wear.
I love that. Okay. What irritates you most?
What irritates me most?
Yes.
Oh, it's a long list. You don't have time for that.
Okay. Just one. What comes on your mind first? Only one. Let's hear it.
Lying.
Sorry, lying. Okay. All right. Make sure people, you want to go and work, do business, or be a student, don't lie.
Just own up to it. I didn't do my homework, or I'm sorry, I didn't get that project done. The customer's coming in 5 minutes. What do we do? If I know the problem, solve the problem. If you're lying to me, we're all screwed.
Get out. I like that bold answer. Well, that's the truth. Okay. I love this. Okay. Now, Liza, you have to choose one. Okay. What do you like more in your life? Love, sex, money, or fame?
Love, sex, money.
Money or fame. What do you like most in your life or want?
Love.
Love it. High five. I have interviewed dozens and dozens of celebrities and all. No one have come up with all the other answer. Everyone chose love. Just choose love. Yes, just choose love. Okay. All right. Now this is imagination question now. Okay. Imagine, Liza, if God makes you a man for a day, what would you do more of and less of?
Oh, that's good. That is really good. What would I do more of? What would I do less of? I know if God made me man for a day,
yes,
I would make the women around me feel like queens. I would be so gallant. It would be fabulous. I think that, Yes.
So that is more of what will be the less of then.
I think I'd be less screaming, because I don't think men need to scream as much. I think when men say something, people do it. And I think when women say something, they have to say it 10 times.
All right, I like that answer. So this is just an imagination question. So my lovely audience, don't take it seriously. Okay, now this is also an imagination question. Imagine, Lisa, if you would be the host of the show, and if I would be the guest of the show, what question would have asked me?
What made you decide to start this podcast?
Oh, that's a very profound question you asked me, and it's very close to my heart. Well, the reason my title also says thoughts, ideas, and the story of the happiest people, I did not mention successful people or genius or something. I think happiest people are the most successful people in the world, according to me, in my opinion. People can have billions of dollars and they can be into anxiety and depression and whole sort of diseases and all. I think happiest people are the most charming, intelligent, genius, caring, and loving people. So that's why I decided to bring all the happiest people of the world to interview, not to only educate myself, but to share their thoughts, ideas, and story, so that others can also get inspired and they become the most happiest people in the world. So the idea is to start this show is to spread happiness through the interviews like you who have given your all 30 plus year of experience within an hour. So this is an amazing thing that people can learn in 1 hour that people have not learned in 30, 40, 50 years and all. So I think this is a great platform that I've chosen to spread the word of happiness. And till my last breath of my life, I will be keep doing this thing if people will support me, what they're doing to me.
How great. What a great answer.
Thank you so much.
When I was younger, especially in my early teenage years, when you've got angst and, you're just always angry. My mom used to always say, I just wish happiness for you. I just want you to be happy. Are you happy? I mean, she wouldn't say it regularly, but at least once a week, Lisa, I just want you to be happy. And I used to remember it by my early 20s. I'd be like, what does that even mean? Like you're young and you're stupid and you think you're gonna go change the world. And then by the time you're 40, you're like, well, maybe the world really doesn't need changing. But,
yeah.
but as I get older, I really understand what my mom was saying. And
yes.
it sounds so simple. I just want you to be happy. And yet it's really, and it is simple, but it takes a lifetime to really understand how it's the most important thing. And it just to be happy. And it's not happy every day, every minute.
No. But that's happiness, and wonderfully said. And also one of the greatest reason behind that is also my name, Happy, which my mom has given me. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was 3.5 years old, and that's why I live towards that name. I walk, talk, behave in a gesture of happiness. Now, a lot of time people say you fake out, and I have controlled my emotions and self-discipline, even in the most frustrated, angriest, and the saddest moment, I can be happy. I'm so passionately, diplomatically, passionately, compassionately, I discipline myself to be happy. And a lot of time people say, you cannot be happy for every minute. I say, yes, I am. And I can prove you. You live with me for a week, you will know it. I'm the most funniest, caring, and loving person. I'm not bragging, but that's how I disciplined my brain, disciplined my emotions and my tongue and my vocabulary, that every moment we have a choice. Every morning also we have a choice. Either we wake up with frustration or we wake up with confidence. And I chose confidence and to be happy.
My mom used to say that too, that happiness is a choice.
It's a choice.
And the thing is that if you struggle with mental illness, whether it be anxiety, depression, whatever, it's not, I do understand when they're like, yeah, it's not really a choice for them. So I understand that.
Okay.
But yes, I get what you're saying. I think that's wonderful.
We have a choice. I know. And you know what? One of the key reasons, there are many reasons, but I have decided the moment I've started becoming more happier and lighter, because when I realized that I'm just a guest on Mother Earth. I'm just enjoying my journey on planet Mother Earth. This is not my permanent home. My permanent home is somewhere else. So just enjoy the journey of Mother Earth. So if I consider it as a permanent home, I'm going to be attached to it. Each single thing will bother me every next second minute. So I'm just free for that. So I'm just enjoying the journey on Mother Earth as a guest.
That's good.
Thank you. Okay, let's get. Lisa, here's one of the last question for the show, and we will wrap up now. What is your message to the beautiful people of the world?
Have fun.
Okay.
Have fun.
Agreed.
Have fun while you can. It's a short ride. You open your eyes, boom, another decade's gone by. You shut your eyes, open them again, another decade. Have fun.
Have fun. Have fun. And any key element, what would be the greatest advice or suggestion for the young adults who want to become a fashion designer or to get into fashion industry? Please tell us about quickly.
If you want to get into the fashion industry, you do need an education. If you want to work for somebody, you do need to, commit to an education. If you want to start your own brand, of course, you don't need to take a full diploma. You can take certain part-time. We have several part-time courses. The one I teach is called Launch Your Line. And we have a lot of designers that want to be a designer that take that course. It's 6 weeks, once a week. You actually will know everything you need to know. But just do it, and don't throw all your money into inventory. Make a few pieces, put it out there, see what's selling, and be an editor. What doesn't sell, don't chase trying to sell it. Move on to what is working. Stay with what is working.
Fantastic, Liza. Well, thanks so much for this lovely time you have shared your thoughts, ideas, and stories, which is very inspiring and empowering. I'm very touched with your story, and I hope my lovely audience would have been very delighted to know about your story. And definitely we will mention all your links, how they can reach out to you or your website, and if they wanted to take any course and all. My humble request is to everybody, have fun, as Liza said, and stay happy and healthy wherever you are. Be excellent to each other, because it's always possible. And tag me and Liza and share this wonderful podcast and information towards your beloved people who think that they can be benefit out of it, so that they don't have to waste another 30-40 years and get an idea within an hour of this massive information from Liza D. Thanks so much for your wonderful time, Liza, once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been great. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.